Long, Banta home. Samuel Long originally was born in Culpeper County, Virginia in 1794. He moved here to the Missouri Territory in 1811. In 1816, he met and married Nancy Whaley, and they had 18 kids, believe it or not. 14 of that 18 actually lived to maturity. So one of that 14 was James Long, the builder of this home. He was born in 1830. He was got into mining. Lead mining was big in this county. Him and a few of his brothers got into the lead mining business and smelting lead and general mercantile. They were might say, quite a bunch of good workers, and they made a lot of money. In his later years, he was elected sheriff, county collector, county treasurer, and when they opened the first Washington County Bank in 1893, he helped organize it, put money into it, and he was elected president of the bank in 1893, and then he stayed president of the bank until 1916 when he died. He had 3 daughters. One of them was Lily, one of them was Maddie, and one of them was Minnie. Lily was born in 1863. That was the same year that he had got married to Nancy, Betty Poston. They built this house in 1865. There had been several owners of this property before. They had at least one house on this site before, because it had a stone basement on the site, which they built this house over that stone basement, and you can still see it today.
Is anything known about the previous house, the one that was before this house was built?
Do what now?
Is anything known about that house or the owners?
No, they don't know anything about the house. They just know that there was at least one house that was here before. But the records just back then weren't all that great, and just nothing else was known about it. So this house was built in 1865. As I said, Lily was the oldest daughter. She was born in 63, and she wasn't born in this home like the other two. Maddie was born in this home in 66, and Minnie in 1870. Minnie died in 1894 at the age of 28. She was never married. Lily, the oldest one, she got married and was moved to Illinois by the name of Nichols. Her husband's name was Nichols. Their marriage failed after several years, and she came back home here to live. And she had 2 children.
Divorce was uncommon back then, wasn't it?
It didn't happen too often. But she moved back here with 2 children, Gladys and Stanley. And she was the only daughter to have children. So the generations that live today from the family all came from Lily's side. Maddie, the youngest one, she was married in 1891 to James Hutchison. He was from Shreveport, Louisiana, and he was a wealthy plantation owner. And he died young, and she came back here in around 1900 to live. Lily died in 1917, just a year after her father. Minnie, she died the youngest one died in 1955. She lived here from 1900 to 1955, so she lived here quite a while, after she'd left and came back. Gladys now is the daughter of Lily. Now on the sign outside you see Long Banta. Now this is where the Banta comes in. Gladys married a man with the name of Banta, Park Banta. And his family was from the Berryman area, about 20 miles west of here. And he had attended and graduated from the University of Northwestern Law School. And so he became a lawyer. So
It was also a well-off family.
it was.
He was from a well-off family.
Yeah. So he came back here, and they Lily and him started living here too. And then World War I come along, and he went off to the war. And when the war was over, he came back, and Gladys and him moved to Arcadia, where he set up a law practice there for a number of years. Had a big law practice down there. The 1946, he ran for United States Senate representative seat in that district down there in Arcadia, and he won. Then in 1952, when Eisenhower was elected president, he appointed Mr. Park Banta as first general counsel to the Health, Education, and Welfare Department, which is the department that Eisenhower's administration started in his first administration. So Mr. Banta lived in Washington the entire 8 years as with working for Eisenhower in the administration. When Eisenhower left office in 61, Gladys and Park moved back here, and they fixed up the house, a little bit, and remodeled the kitchen, and here's where they lived. Mr. Banta, Park Banta, died in 1970, and Gladys died in 1989. The last few years she would live here part of the year, and in St. Louis she had like an assisted living place where she was getting pretty feeble, and she needed help, and she'd come back here in the summer and go up there in the winter. And finally she got to where she couldn't stay here at all. She had nobody to stay with her, so she stayed up there and died up there. So there had been no one living in the house since 1989.
Are all of them buried locally? The majority of the Long and the Banthas?
Most of them are buried over here in the old Presbyterian church. Some of them are not, but most of them are over there. And there's a cemetery over there in the old church museum. So, and then the Historical Society, Park and Gladys had three daughters, Carol, Doris, Carol, and Beth. And they were the ones that turned the house over to the Mine Au Breton Historical Society to preserve and keep, and let the public see it, and different functions in the yard and things like that. So that's what we've been doing ever since.
These buildings, have you ever experienced anything that you would classify as unusual or weird? Anything like footsteps or voices or?
Oh, yeah, here in this building, there's several people heard the footsteps. They've heard loud noises like books dropping on the floor. One of the women of our society, a past president, said several times she came in here, it sounded like someone had a stack of books and they dropped them behind her as she was walking through. So she had experienced that several times. One of the strangest things that I didn't really witness it, but yet I heard people talk about it, is one of the paranormals had said that they had seen a couple of children playing upstairs, and that the children was asking them to come in the other room and play with them. And shortly after that, they had left, and 2 or 3 months later, it was around Halloween time, there was we were giving tours through here, through the house. And there was two little girls, probably, I don't know, 10, 11 years old. They had came to the door, and, you know, lined up, and they were getting a tour like everyone else. And one of the little girls asked, they said, who lives here? And we told them no one lived here, that there hadn't been anybody lived here since '89. And she had this strange look on her face, you know. They sort of looked at one another, them two girls, and they said, well, that's odd, because we walk by here every day going to school, and every now and then we see two little girls standing in the window up here looking out at us.
Hello, my name is Terry. This will be the third video in our Potosi series. This one will be covering the Long Bantha mansion. The first clip was recorded upstairs in the child's bedroom. It's a very faint, whispery voice. This is neither an EVP voice or a ghost box voice. This one I actually heard by ear. These are very uncommon that you can actually hear them by ear, but it does happen from time to time. I was the only one of 4 in the room who actually heard it. It sounded like it was coming from right behind me. Initially I thought it was one of the women who were in an adjacent room, but when I played it back I can confirm that this is not one of their voices. Their voices occurred moments after this whispery voice occurred.
That's funny. I thought I heard a breathy voice behind us, but maybe it was them.
The next small group of clips were shot in total darkness as part of an experiment. Only the audio is present in the next batch of clips. People often ask if the ghosts of pets return. Through the ghost box, the sound of a cat meowing can clearly be heard. It's possible this may be one of the pets of one of the children who used to live in the house.
Sound like a cat meowing.
That was definitely cat.
If you listen carefully, you can hear it saying the word equipment, mimicking something I had just said moments earlier.
Is that a piece of equipment?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What you said, equipment.
It did.
Continuing our box test that we had begun initially at the Lucas store, we asked it to identify what was inside this box. It correctly identified it as money.
You still haven't said what's in the box. What is in the box?
We repeated the question a second time, and it again replied with the correct answer, money, as the contents of the box.
Are you gonna tell us what's in this box so we can leave?
It then elaborated further, commenting that it was inside the box. One of the investigators then said, "Why don't you speak up and talk to us?" It promptly replied with the name of one of the investigators in the room, Ken.
Why don't you speak up? Talk to us.
There are at least 2 entities inside the Long Bantha mansion. One of them wanted to communicate with us and was very forthcoming with information. The other wanted nothing to do with us and wanted us to leave, and would repeatedly ask us about our leaving.
If you tell us what's in the box, we'll leave. Does that say money?
When one of the investigators offered to leave if it would answer a question, it quickly came back with a reply, "Leaving now." It wanted to know if it gave the answer, "Would you leave now?" This was apparently trying to entice us to leave by giving a correct answer. It then promptly replied with a correct answer. It said money. This is the third time in this short session that it replied with the correct answer of what was inside that box. We asked for further details about what was inside the box. The reply was petty change. It's a coin inside the box, and in its time, a $20 gold piece might be considered petty change.
You've identified it as money. Why can't you give more detail? What was that?
I heard change.
The next segment was captured on Ken's voice recorder. It seems to be trying to provide information for us to find something, but the information is incomplete. But it's very detailed in that it is trying to give very specific directions on how to find something. It's a one-channel recording, so you will hear sound on either the right or left channel and not on both of your speakers. You'll hear it saying the first half is incomplete, and it's saying either "you suspect" or "your suspect," and then it's saying the words 12, and then the word feet, and then the word azimuth. It's clearly trying to provide directions to something, but we don't know what. On our next trip to Potosi, we're going to follow up on this and see if we're able to find out what it is it's trying to locate for us.
12.
We then moved on to the attic. It's an extremely active place, and we've had a lot of success in this room in past investigations. The first thing it says is the word help. This is one of the two entities that is trying to communicate with us, and it wants direct communication as opposed to the other one, which wants us just to leave. Help? In the next segment, we're hearing from the other entity, and it's saying time to go. It's the one that clearly wants us out of there and wants us out as quickly as possible, whereas the other one wants to communicate.
Did it say time to go?
Yes.
We then hear a loud banging sound in the attic. We've been prompting it to make loud sounds, and it finally obliged us by producing a loud sound. We thought it was initially coming from downstairs, but when we had someone come up from downstairs up to the attic, they told us they thought the sound was coming from the attic. So we don't know where the point of origin of all this banging noise is coming from.
Do you hear that? Did you hear crashing sounds at the lower floor?
Yeah, but it sounded like it was coming from up here.
So you thought it was coming from up here?
Yeah.
We thought it was coming from down there.
No, there was no noise downstairs.
During our line of questioning, one of them identified themselves as a bad spirit. One of the members of the group was teasing it, saying, "You don't sound very bad." It immediately prompts up and says the word bitch.
You're not acting very bad.
Then moments later, another voice pipes up. It's a very powerful male voice, and it says the number 27. This is significant because inside the box, the coin of issue was in the year 1927. I'd been trying to get it to say that all night long to give more information about the coin, and here at the very end it did manage to apply.
27.
Finally, the number of the coin.
It is.
1927.
Yeah, it is. Did it say? Finally.
Yeah.
It said 27.
Oh.
Another voice came over the ghost box. This one repeated what had been said earlier. It was asking us to leave now.
Yeah, it is there.
Leave now.
Sharp in the head.
Maybe it just wants us to leave.
Yeah, it is.
It was now 3 in the morning and we had to leave for the night. We told it that we were going to leave the equipment running on our way out of the house, and we'd appreciate it if it would give us a sign that it was still there on our way out, and we would have ways of documenting it. A voice quickly came over at the ghost box saying okay, acknowledging our statement of interest and having it make a sound for us or do something that we could document. This was very interesting because it seems to be interacting with us at a very high level of intelligence. It's able to reply with extreme speed to questions and comments and things that are going on. This is an extremely intelligent entity that's up in this attic.
Well, I'll leave the camera running as we walk out of the house, so if you can manage to close the door, make some really loud noise, we appreciate it.
Okay.
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 That's it.
Okay.
We descended the stairway to the second floor. We then noticed that something was going on. There was an electrical charging presence inside the hallway that you could just feel. It was literally coming out of the woodwork and you could just sense it. We were then becoming slightly annoyed that we'd been waiting for this opportunity all night long, and it was only as we were walking out the door that it was manifesting itself in this form.
Right. Okay now.
No, you're too close.
Can't believe it. You have the house back.
It's all yours, but we'd like to have you slam a door.
Well, I get the weirdest feeling right here. Right in here is where it seems to
Weird.
be active. Something in here.
This,
I don't know why. That room there is where I get the most.
it's funny, I'm getting a weird tingly feeling.
Yeah,
In this
right
hallway.
Here, I got it. Right in there. Yeah, out here too. You know, my hair's standing up.
Yeah, it's right now. My hair's standing up.
Yeah. Why?
Why is it waiting till now? Why do you wait till now?
Wow. Like, see you next time.
We'll be back.
While I was panning one bedroom, some strange camera anomalies showed up. And you'll see it in the video, and I have an enhanced zoom version of it. Unfortunately, I don't have any still photos of the room, so I don't know if this is a trick of light from the laser reflecting off mirrors or glass or some other objects that's producing it. But if you look inside the room, you'll see what appears to be a glass tabletop, and there is a woman's face looking in the left direction from the camera, and there are multiple faces underneath the table. I don't know if this is just a trick of light. I'll have to do a follow-up investigation with photos to compare it to on a second trip